La noche se acabó, pero tengo otra vez contigo. Le doy gracias a Dios, siempre pasándolo contigo en la playa, devorarte como el sol de la mañana, viajando todo el día sin drama, solo tú y yo. Un día bonito lleno de alcohol, tomar un shot pa' ti, un shot pa' mí, un shot. Un día bonito lleno de alcohol, tomar un shot pa' ti, un shot pa' mí, un shot. Siempre lo pasamos bien lindo, lindo. Un verano contigo lindo, lindo. Me fui de vacaciones, baby, me perdí, buscando el sabor que encontré en ti. Canela con dolor de Bacardi, lo sentí, baby, me tiene desenfocado, viendo doble, bien borracho, demasiado jodido contigo. Pasándolo contigo en la playa, devorarte como el sol de la mañana, viajando todo el día sin drama, tú y yo. Un día bonito lleno de alcohol, tomar un shot pa' ti, un shot pa' mí, un shot. Un día bonito lleno de alcohol, tomar un shot pa' ti, un shot pa' mí, un shot. Un día bonito, bonito, un día bonito, bonito. Pasándolo contigo en la playa, devorarte como el sol de la mañana, viajando todo el día sin drama, solo tú y yo. Un día bonito lleno de alcohol, tomar un shot pa' ti, un shot pa' mí, un shot. Un día bonito lleno de alcohol, tomar un shot pa' ti, un shot pa' mí, un shot. Un día bonito lleno de alcohol, tomar un shot pa' ti, un shot pa' mí, un shot.
Hello everyone, happy Sunday. Hope you are all doing well. I actually managed to catch a Baron live earlier today, which I was very happy about because I feel like I haven't watched a Baron live for a while. So shout out to everybody who was in the chat, and Baron, if you're out there. Me and Baron still need to do a joint podcast. I think I've been on Baron's live maybe once, but I feel like we need to do like a special. Karen's asking, do you see me in chat? Because I'm usually there, but I don't know if you see my comments. Do you comment often, Karen? Anyway, I'm gonna post the link if you want to call in today. We will have some call-ins because I know you all had quite a bit to say. So please do come up if you want to say anything. I'm gonna read out the article from the Times. So in the last podcast, one of the things that I said was I wondered what was going on the floor. Sorry, not on the floor, on the ground, on the ground in Sentebale. But I didn't realize that this Times article that's been going around actually adds a bit of clarity to that. So thank you so much for the person who said to me, you better read that article out, because I had not realized that there is actually quite a bit of detail in that. So I'm going to grab the article and then we'll read it together. Like I keep saying to you all, though, as devastating as all of this is, please, please, please just remember that through everything Harry and Meghan have been thrown, we always get to the other side and they usually win, right? We usually end up winning. Sorry, let me just change that. I realize I haven't got the right cover up. We usually end up winning, and whenever Harry is ready to rebuild or start afresh, we'll be here, right? Put a unicorn, a flower, or a sunshine in the chat for Harry if you will be here whenever he is ready to start his charity up again, whether it's in the same name and he manages to get it back or a different name. Put a unicorn, a star, or a flower, or a sun, so I know you're listening. So I know you're actually listening. Thank you so much to, who's this that has put Black Queen, thank you so much for being a member for 20 months. It should be 36 months. YouTube restarted my membership. Oh, amazing. Thank you so much, Black Queen. I appreciate you so much, and thank you for the super sticker as well. And thank you to everyone who donates after the podcast. Sometimes I don't always see them, your off-platform donations until afterwards, but they are appreciated. I think we had Tamika, you sent 3 coffees yesterday. Thank you. And also Miss Jennifer C, you sent a PayPal. Thank you so much. And I think there was also somebody else that sent a super sticker just as I was closing, but I didn't get to say their name out loud. So thank you. Appreciate you all. It really does help. But let's have a read of this article because it's quite a lot of detail. Let me just open it up. I think it was on. Oh, here we go. Okay. Let's have a read. So this is from the Times, which is, I would consider it a tabloid, a very posh tabloid, but they have still written with clarity and truth. So let's have a look at this. The Lesotho Children's Centre, run by Sentebale, the charity set up by Prince Harry in honour of his mother, was once flush with life. Until recently, more than 700 children with HIV headed to its state-of-the-art facilities for life-changing residential camps each year. It is alleged that the site has been effectively mothballed amid a funding crisis that bled the charity's reserves dry. I think another thing that this also highlights is, as well-meaning and incredible as these charities are, these should be services and facilities that are provided by the governments anyway. And so, lifelines like this shouldn't just be through charities, as well-meaning as they are. Okay, so the charity's flagship holiday camps and children's centre in Lesotho have ground to a halt, and staff there told to work from home to save costs. So that just shows you that if they're being told to work from home, funds aren't coming in. The funds have effectively stopped. Or they're being held, any funds that were left are being held somewhere. The charity has made redundancies to try to steady the ship, and in total, costs have been cut by 25% since March. It marks the latest chapter in the feud between the Duke of Sussex and the charity's chair, which this week resulted in a damning charity commission report. Well, it wasn't damning enough, to be honest with you. It didn't even really look into the depth of Sophie's behavior and exactly what is going on with the money, what she did with it, and the ethics of where that money was distributed to, especially since there are very, very clear conflicts of interest when at least two people from her company, Nandi Sciences, seem to have been funneled some of that money. The regulator criticized all parties to the dispute for allowing it to play out publicly, but of course, we know that it's Sophie that allowed it to play out publicly. The chair's awkward viral moment with Meghan. The seeds of the crisis began after Sophie Chanduaka, a Zimbabwean-born lawyer, was appointed chair in 2023. There was a hint of trouble to come in April 2024 when the Duchess of Sussex bounced on stage to hand a polo match trophy to her husband and his winning team, a fundraiser, awkwardly supplanting Chanduka. Well, again, bringing Meghan's name into a situation where her name doesn't even need to be brought in. This has nothing to do with Meghan, other than the fact that Sophie is clearly jealous of Harry's wife. That's it. That's the extent to which this has to do with Meghan. And obviously that jealousy and that rage is clearly fueling her, I think. Karen's come into the chat. Thank you so much, Karen. I will let you speak because I know you're dying to speak and you have a lot to say. I will let you speak in a moment. Let me just finish reading this. The chair later claimed that Meghan had turned up unannounced and that because the clip went viral, Harry had invited Chanduka to make a public statement in support of his wife. She refused, saying the charity cannot be an extension of the Sussexes. I mean, just clearing up a rumor would hardly be an issue. A girl's girl would, but she's clearly not that. But it was the disagreement over the charity's funding strategy in the US, a £400,000 bill for consultancy fees, that led to the relationship breakdown. So I'm going to skip a bit of the article because it just reiterates what most of us probably know. So it goes on to say, living on a shoestring, dozens of reliable donors have refused to donate since the Duke of Sussex resigned as patron in March. Indeed, of course they would. And that isn't even being taken into account by the Charity Commission, who we now know may themselves be compromised because of possible royal connections. Why would they donate? They can see right through this. Anyone with half a brain can see right through this. This is clear sabotage. Many of these are from a group of Meghan superfans known as the Sussex Squad, who pulled funding that was worth an estimated $47,000 per year. I promise you it was more. I promise you it was more. And whenever Harry's ready, it will be double. Thank you for all of you. Look at all of this. Sunshines, unicorns, flowers, exactly. Harry can rebuild so easily. It's Sophie and her minions that cannot. There will be no fundraisers, and we urge you to halt all recurring donations until Prince Harry provides further guidance, the online community said this week. I mean, we've been saying it from the beginning, to be honest. The Sentebale Polo Cup, the charity's top fundraiser, which raises $74,000 a year, $704,000 a year, has not taken place for 2 years. Harry himself was a major donor, pledging $1.1 million to Sentebale from the sales of his memoir Spare in 2021. The situation is so serious that, according to sources, the charity has run through much of its 1.4 million reserves. On what? Now we're going to see in those financial reports. On what? It's now living on a shoestring, they said. The accounts were delayed to manage media narrative on the poor financial position. But you have Sophie out here claiming that she's Jesus, turning one fish into 1,000. And she can't even string together a small fundraiser. And the one that she tried to do got a donation of a whopping $27. Life has totally vanished. There are fears the activities of the charity set up to honor Princess Diana have taken a hit. The charity denies the claim. It said it has taken action to shore up its finances and only shifted the accounting period to align with the calendar year and what is typically giving season in the US and UK. Nonsense. The principal chief who drives the children's centre, cannot remember the last time he saw children there. The life has totally vanished from the place. It looks closed and more like somebody's private property than the space for children it was intended to be. The 67-year-old said this week, the beautiful place is just standing empty with no one benefiting. A Times reporter who visited last month, so they have tried to get on the ground, in the middle of the winter holidays, saw the car park full of smart 4x4 vehicles. The site was hosting a health conference, not a children's camp. Okay, so that's interesting. The site was hosting a health conference, not a children's camp. I'm wondering, did she invite some people under the guise of, you're coming here for, Sentebale, this charity that was started by Prince Harry? Was she trying to get more donors or influential people in the health space to help with this so-called biotech company that she's starting? Because why were they hosting a health conference and not a children's camp? That is interesting. Who was at that health conference? I think we should know who was at that health conference. The charity says renting the space helps fund its programs, but a guard on the gate said no camp had been held this year. Oh, so were they maybe renting out the space for money? Okay. This would represent a drastic change from 2022 to 2023 when 740 children were welcomed to the site. Local staff have been told to work from home where possible to save money on electricity, with one source saying it's effectively mothballed. The charity defended its work, saying it remains on track to serve at least 78,000 children and young people, matching exceeding our 2024 impact. Well, Sophie herself said on Sky News that the funds were no longer needed to help those suffering with HIV and AIDS, that the funds were actually going towards something else entirely. So let's have a look. So the guy who would usually work at the children's center, he said, I don't understand how that lady from Zimbabwe got so powerful when Prince Iso and Prince Harry just walked away, he said. I hope they will come back and fight for this organization that was taken away from them. I'm starting to believe more and more that the reason Prince Harry and Prince Iso stepped down immediately is because they probably know exactly who is behind this. I think that if they were just fighting Sophie, they would have stayed on board and would be just fighting Sophie. I think that would actually be a very easy battle to win. That's why I believe there is someone backing her, and that someone is very likely linked to the palace. I believe. That's my conspiracy, allegedly, for the lawyers listening. Because there's no way that Sophie is this powerful on her own. There's just no way. Supporters of Prince Harry said he last visited in October last year, once pandemic level restrictions were lifted. Local families said the site offers few jobs and no opportunities to use the facilities. We were happy when it was being built, but this place has given us nothing. Well, wasn't the place meant to be for the children and for a specific purpose? Like, it's not an amusement park. Anyway, the row continues. Sentebale denied the charity was in a poor financial position, saying its mission, cause, and impact focused founders would provide 70% of its income, have remained steadfast. While some royal fans have pulled donations, Sentebale has gained an equal, if not greater, number of individual funders since March 2025, it said. Oh, who? Who are these funders? If the camp has closed down and people are working from home, who are these funders? Oh, dear. Okay. I'm gonna let Karen speak. How you doing, hun?
Good. Hi, everyone. How are you guys doing?
Great. Long time, long time. Karen sent me a picture of her as ever bounty finally arrived.
Yes, That's the second launch. The wine I didn't get yet. It's still sitting in Texas, and I
Oh,
just
okay.
I just ordered another 6 bottles. So yeah,
Cool.
yeah. So
All right.
I think I have to because of the shipping situation and the tariff and all that stuff that's going on with Canada and the States. I think
Mm.
I have to fly down to Texas to go get the one
Go get the
in Texas.
wine.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, at
Yeah.
least this time I've noticed that the wine has not sold out. So they've increased production levels because that's one of the things that
Right.
Megan
Yeah.
said she didn't want in that interview with Emma, she didn't want every single time there was a
Hmm.
drop, it just sells out and people can't get what they want. So they've obviously increased production levels. And I think going forward, I don't think we'll have like an issue with things selling
Yeah.
out.
I think she's now starting to realize her impact
Yeah.
because I think she knows that there's an impact, but she wasn't sure about it, and
Yeah.
she didn't want to. I don't think she's not the type of person to,
Overdo it.
take things for granted.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, of
but I
course.
think she's now they're now realizing that. So
Hmm.
things would be okay going forward. And I'm also glad that um, when she started and the launch,
Hmm.
it was only in the States and not international because, and I'm saying that it's not that, we weren't able, to get it. I'm just saying it in a way that it got a chance to establish
Yeah,
before the criticism. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying?
of
Before the
course.
sabotage. Right. So in that way, that was a good strategy to do. That way it didn't end up like Spear or Endgame.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But I think
Mm.
they're working on on getting it international because there's different regulations and stuff like that.
Of
You
course,
know,
with food
yeah.
and
So
yeah, of
yeah, so
course.
they're
I
working
don't think
on.
it will be too long.
No, no, I don't think so. I think that was already in the works, but um, they may have had to slow down because of when Trump came into power
Hmm.
and all this other stuff, started happening with shipping and tariff and all these different things. So
Mm.
I think they,
Fair enough.
had to kind of slow down and wait for things to iron out there. So, and instead of delaying all of it, you know, why have it? It was, already, delayed. Like things were already delayed so many times. So why go ahead and delay
Yeah,
it when you can just go ahead and start it in the States and
yeah,
then, the rest would
yeah,
follow.
and then carry
Mhm.
on for the rest. I just want to say, before we get into the next part, just thank you so much to Benjamin, for your super chat. This is William. Well, I think we're gonna find out. I
Mhm.
think we are absolutely gonna find out exactly who is behind all of this sabotage. And Karen, what
Mhm.
are your thoughts on it?
Mhm. Is Lifeside on there today or Rohini?
I think light side's
They can
cooking.
come on
I don't
too.
know
Yeah.
where Rahini is. I don't think Rahini is with us today.
Oh, okay. It's good to have a nice
Um,
panel. I think it's good to have a nice panel with a couple of us on,
yeah,
to do.
Fatumata's here. Fatumata's here as well. But what I'll do is I'll let you speak, and then I'll let
Yeah.
Fatumata come on for a little bit,
Okay.
and then we can get into a
Yeah.
conversation.
Not a problem. Yeah. Well, I know I've been sending you things about it, so you know exactly, how I, how I feel about it. And back
Things
then,
is an understatement for those of you listening. Karen's been sending me essays, literal essays in the WhatsApp chat. Like, my God. I think you should start your own blog, Karen.
I have
You
a
start your own
passion.
blog.
I have a passion. And when it gets there, I keep going. Yeah. No. I'm so appalled with this judgment that was passed with the you know,
The
the
Charity
charity
Commission.
board or commission or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And but it was to be expected because it's in the UK. This charity is in the UK, and I
Mhm.
didn't expect anything, better to come out of that. And
Mm.
I don't think Harry them did either. But my thing is, There are comments about um, uh, Harry, about it being, getting to the point where it became public and all that stuff. And
Yeah.
it could have been resolved before. But it could not be resolved before because they tried to do that. Okay. Before the
Yeah.
trustees stepped down, they asked her to leave. Okay. And
Yeah.
they stepped down because she would not leave. So all this was being done quiet behind the scenes, okay, for
Hmm.
her to leave. And she would not step down. So they now had to take actions. They had to step down. And then when they stepped down, the owners, the founders, and the Patreons now, had to make a decision.
Hmm.
And those were the people that were with them, from before for 19 years. What are they going to do? They have to stand with them, because
Yeah.
this is something that's happening in there. This is corruption that's happening in there, and the person that's causing it, okay, don't want to remove themselves. Okay, now they're talking about it going public. Prince Harry is a public person, and
Yeah.
everything about him gets blown up. Everything about
Yeah.
his wife gets blown up. Now he has to take control of this before anyone else gets to it. So if he did not put it out, who then?
Yeah.
Right? And what would it have turned into? Now, I think her problem is, and especially based on the BBC interview and all the things that she was saying in there, because for some reason, I don't think she was wired right when she did that interview. Okay.
Can say that again.
Yeah, because she was stepping way beyond, she was crossing so many lines, okay?
Yeah.
And stepping way beyond her position that she was supposed to be having at that charity. Okay? She's a chairperson, and also it's a voluntary position. Okay?
Hmm.
She is not the main person. She has to listen to the founders, discuss with them what direction, discuss with the trustees, the board, before she
Hmm.
can make any decisions. Okay? She is just there to carry out what decisions they make, right? But instead, she was acting as if she was the founder, she was the owner, she was the CEO, she was everything, and they have to follow her.
But
Okay.
let me just ask you, Karen, before I let Fatimata and YM Droid has
Mhm.
come into the chat as well.
Mhm.
Hi YM Droid. What
Okay.
do you think? And I'll ask the whole panel this. Um, what do you think what do you think the end goal is in all of this?
Well, okay. Well, before I say that, I want to point out something, and that's why I
Mhm.
was referring to the BBC thing. Okay. She was so concerned that this came out public, and Prince Harry did not consulted with her before he made it public. Okay, which tells me that they asked her to step down. She was not stepping down, and she was counting on the fact that Prince Harry didn't want this to become public. So it looks like there was some kind of blackmail going on inside of there,
Mm.
right? And she was home because of his situation. She was hoping that he don't want to make this public
To go
because it's going to
public,
look
yeah.
bad on him and his wife. Okay. So she
Mm.
was counting on that blackmail fact. Okay. Secondly, as I mentioned before, this is a hostile takeover. This is a person that came in there in the first place with an agenda. Okay. She wanted to take over that charity and whoever is behind her. They intended to sabotage it. It's been having a good run for 19 years. Okay. Next year was coming up to its 20 years. Can you imagine the kind of celebration it would have been? Okay.
Yeah.
Based on the fact it was created in Princess Diana's name. Okay. And
Hmm.
Prince Ciosa's mom's name. Okay. And this
Yeah.
has been running good for 20 years. Okay. So
Yeah.
can you imagine the kind of celebration, the kind of uplift that Diana's name would have had on this, and knowing the
Mhm.
successes that they have had in that charity. Okay, the end
Mhm.
game with her coming in there, seeing all the stuff that's going on right now. Okay, my thing is that she was planted there. Secondly, she have this other company that she has there and wanted to have an entry into the African market. And
Mhm.
she sought out a charity or an establishment that was up and running with all the entities and all, like it has everything umbrellaed in it already. That
Mhm.
if you take that over, you don't have to start from scratch
Yeah.
building. Okay, and accumulating all these things, it's already there. So she was
Mhm.
hoping that that would have been handed over to her with a platter, with everybody coming with it.
Yeah.
So it's okay, go ahead with the other people, and
Okay.
we'll continue
Yeah, we'll
from
have
there.
a chat. Okay, I'll circle around. Okay. Fatimata, what your overall thoughts and make sure that your camera isn't on, by the way. Your overall thoughts and also what you think the end game is. Oh no, I need you to switch your camera off, babe, because it keeps. Is your camera off? Okay, I'm gonna go to YM Droid. Okay, now it's off. I can see that it's off now. Go on. Okay, I can hear you, hun. Are you there? Okay, I'm gonna go to YM Droid and then we'll come back to Fatimata. Hey, YM Droid, how you doing?
Hello. Happy Sunday to everyone. And
Happy Sunday to you.
yes, and I sent you the link to my store, so you tell me what you want. Um
Oh, did you send? Oh my god, I think I missed it. Wait, when
I
did you
did.
send it?
Type search your spam, like I maybe because it's
Oh,
the first time I
yeah,
emailed
it's
you.
probably gone to it's probably gone to my spam. Sorry, I will have a look for it. Thank you so much for
Okay.
letting me know, though.
Zero
Mm.
spam included. But
Okay.
yeah, no, I goodness. I I'm just curious what Sophie's original plan was
Mhm.
and how it's going for her, because
Yeah.
I this is the least successful attempt at a hostile takeover that I think I've
Yeah.
ever seen. It's so clumsy, and like I said,
Mhm.
I'll still give her credit above grifters like Nana, because at least it's clear she spent some money on hair care. She
Indeed.
got her braids tight. So there's we can
There's
at
that.
least, yeah, exactly, there's at least that. However, what do you even put on your LinkedIn after all of and seriously, like after all this mess? Because before
She can put I tried to screw Prince Harry and Donald Trump's administration will hire her straight away.
I possibly, I think she's gonna have to go a little bit more grifty. I don't know. Like I said, this is just the most poorly executed attempt at a hostile takeover or attempt at a scam that I think I've ever witnessed. Man, like even the old school grifters, like the bakers or whatever, when they were getting online and crying for people to send donations. Or if we look at the Trump administration, I mean, take some notes at least if you're going to be running a scam. I mean, there's there's some inspiration
At
for
least
you.
do it well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's all so incredibly ridiculous, and I think at the end of it, there's no way that you come out of it looking like anything but a clown and a fraud, because there's nothing that you can point to that shows that you increase donations, which
Yeah.
I ostensibly is the whole purpose of any nonprofit founder. Now,
Yeah.
I think, I'm sure, like if you dig into things at a lot of nonprofits, you could probably argue over how much the staff gets paid versus how much money is spent on the actual charity services. But
But
still,
it seems like with Sentebale actually, the money that was being given to staff was actually quite sensible, and that was a problem for Sophie because she wanted to profit hugely.
well, but exactly, the thing is though, that's usually, I'm going to say, the notable thing that CEOs for nonprofits do. Like if they're going to pad their resume with it, even if they're grifting, they'll try to raise donations before they try to dip in for a bigger cut than maybe previous people did. So that at the very least, when people look back, they can point to the bullet point on their resume that says, oh, like I increased donations by 40%. Now, if you're taking, 30% more than the previous person, that's again, like just across the board, it'll at various nonprofits, that math gets kind of funny sometimes. But not that I'm trying to give anyone instructions for grifting. However, if that was the plan, and obviously that was the plan from the get-go, if that was the plan, she's just, man, she did such a bad job. Like this is such a horrendous grift. And of course, having whatever UK body that's connected, that Lightside like did her investigative deep dive in and found out was connected to the Royal Horse Stables. That they're trash for that too. But it's just, I mean, like, it is really, really ridiculous. This whole debacle, like I said, is she didn't even do a good job at the grifting. And I guess I could imagine a scenario where maybe she could have played the anti-Harry things in some way, like, oh, like it's not addressing climate change, which leads to, I don't know, make some stuff up. Again, like, if we're following our grifter in chief, which is always what he does, but she didn't take the time to even do any of that. So even the Harry and Meghan haters are like, we don't know about this. Like, girl, like you need to polish that up a little. You need to polish that one up a little bit more. And now, of course, the people who are suffering are the people who, for all of these decades, have been getting support from Sentebale, who've been getting support, previously from the donations that they brought in. And it just, like I said, it just blows my mind that for whatever letters you stamp behind your name, you couldn't put together even a third grade level grift in order to try to make it happen. Because I think, like if this, again, if she had gone in there and she actually had done something to increase donations, and she still, and after that, she tried to still run her scam where she's pocketing
get some money, and exactly. That would have made more sense. It's it's almost difficult to even clearly gauge what the end motive is, because it's just so outlandishly ridiculous. Okay, let's say you wanted to make some money. Okay, well, you could go off to some quiet little corporate somewhere and do the same thing and nobody would have ever noticed, but you decided to do it at Prince Harry's charity, like nobody was gonna notice.
Well, I don't know if she thought like maybe that would give her more opportunity. Like I said, I have no doubt that some part of it had to have been that she thought that she could tap into the anti-Harry, anti-Meghan press.
Yeah, and it just didn't work.
Yeah, well, like I said, because oh my God, her grift game is so bad. No,
you could tell. So you could tell after she did that Sky News interview. It's almost as if there was this like national, across the UK silence from the tabloids, because you could just tell they were all sitting in their newsrooms going, "Oh my God, this is insane! Like we can't even back this woman, even if it means bashing Harry and Meghan, because she's clearly lying. You could sense it."
That was and honestly, I feel like that's the only gift out of this entire situation, is that even for these, Rumpelstiltskin press people who can spend, publicity gold out of the most ridiculous things normally, they couldn't even spin this one into anything that made any sense or really would cast Harry in a bad light. the most that they came up with after this whole, alleged investigative effort by the Royal, Pony Support Squad is bureaucracy. I mean, that's the
Yeah.
best that they could come up with. The best that they could come up with out of all of this is nothing that would show like give any part of her story credibility. It's nothing that would show anything negative on Harry's part, which of course, I mean, we never expected it to. But the
Yeah.
very most, the most that they could do is blah 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 and some fault somewhere. It just a little bit of
Yeah.
word salad garbage and some bureaucracy, and that's the best that they can do, because
Yeah.
they're, like I said, just really, really incredibly poor grift. I'm just looking to see what she puts on her LinkedIn, because, like I said, she ran this entirely wrong. I don't know if she needs to holler at some, like some princes running email scams or what, but I seriously feel like those email people could have put together a better grift than this lady did.
Indeed. All right. Thank you so much for that wine joy. I'm gonna let Fatumata talk and then Lightside talk, and then we can have like a panel discussion. Hey Fatumata, have you gotten your Fatumata? I think your camera is actually still on. It needs to be off. Needs to be off, darling, or else yeah, your camera is definitely still on. You need to switch it off. Thank you. How you doing?
Good. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna start with the end game thing.
Okay,
I
go on.
think I think there are two end games to this. I think
Mm-hmm.
whoever approached this woman to sabotage the charity, because I don't believe that was her intention going in. I think she wanted to grift for her own uh
Can everyone hear
Hello?
Fatumata, or is it just me? The sound is going a little bit funny for.
I'm here. Nobody can hear me?
Can you just give me a signal in the chat that everyone can hear her, or it could just be on my end that I can't hear her and you all can hear her fine. I just want to check. Yeah, people are saying it's a bit patchy, Fatumata. Are you speaking now?
No, I'm not. I was waiting to hear what they're saying.
Okay. Carry on. Go ahead. Just
Okay.
say that. Repeat that again. What you think the end game is?
I think it was two end games. I think whoever
Okay.
approached this woman to try to sabotage this charity, or to actually successfully sabotage the charity,
Mm-hmm.
is to just erase any accomplishment that Prince Harry has done. It's like
Yeah.
they don't care how he ends. It just he has to end,
Yes.
because that's what I'm worried about in Victor Dave now, because it's
Yeah.
almost like trying to, his legacy has to be erased. That's the end game for that person who that
Sorry. Can I
institution.
Can I just stop you there, Fatimata? Just because you've raised the Invictus Games, I'll let you continue in a sec. There are some very mysterious tweets going rather mysteriously viral, which is why I believe they could possibly be bot accounts that are being pushed. But there are these tweets that are going viral, and it's about Invictus and how Megan keeps trying to steal the spotlight from Invictus. This is from the Deranger side, but there's just like some very strange bot activity going on where all of a sudden there's all these accounts tweeting about Invictus and Megan, and how Harry did not found the Invictus Games. So I think you're very, very right, Fatumata. And actually, I haven't had a moment to look more into this, but I just wanted to put that out there, that
Mm-hmm.
I do believe that Invictus will be the next target. But go ahead.
And I think Prince Harry underestimates how much they want to erase him. I don't think he fully understands that he is a threat. The institution is not doing anything. Their job is to not to do anything, and they cannot have another prince from live in another country doing better things. They at least seen to be done, to be doing something good. And I think he underestimated the how much they want his legacy to be gone. I think the second end game. I'm speculating. I'm sorry. I don't wanna because with the connection with this health thing that she's doing.
Yeah.
I'm just afraid those orphans children will be used as a lab rat. That's what I'm worried now because the science thing is very vague, and I
Yeah.
know sometimes scientists use they can. I'm sorry, I don't want to say. I don't want to.
They can wait, okay, I'll put it this way. We know that
Yeah.
there's that we know that there's a history of these organizations taking advantage of vulnerable communities, and that, there's obviously
Yes.
some worry about that. That's, yeah, it's a perfectly reasonable worry.
Yes, because the children don't have parents. Most of them
Yeah.
either their parents are dead or was abandoned because they have HIV, HIV positive or have AIDS.
Yeah.
That's why the charity was not just to give them somewhere to sleep or eat. It was almost like a security blanket, and they were safe there. I'm
Hmm.
thinking that's what the charity was doing. It's not just eating. It's not
Yeah.
just they were giving that safety. I'm worried that she's gonna use these children because who's gonna if she
Yeah.
can do this without any accountability, she can do
Yeah.
whatever else she wants. That's what I'm worried about
Indeed.
now. But
Indeed.
I think she was not because she was part of the charity since 2015 or 16, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
But she
think
only got chairman status more recently.
yes, I think she was approached by somebody who just want to ruin
Mm,
Prince Harry, and then
mm,
she had her own ambitions that she wanted to accomplish, and it was a perfect match. That's what I think. I don't think
mhm.
she went there saying. I think she went there for the gift, yes, but I don't think she went there saying, "Oh, I'm gonna take down Prince Harry charity and I'm going to make it on my own." On my own, the way the report was written. I'm sorry, my English is
Yeah.
not that.
No, no, that's
It's
fine.
like they're doing above and behind to make sure she's not. She is. It's almost like they were protecting the king. The way they wrote they wrote that report
Yeah.
about the king. It was very. We cannot touch her because if you touch her, where it's gonna end. I think.
Yeah,
I think
actually,
it's.
that's a very good point for Tomato. I feel like we haven't actually look like properly had a discussion about is the fact that this so-called investigation that was done by the Charity Commission, even in their statement, it's like she's being protected in what they're saying.
Yes.
Even though she made very damning allegations and then claimed that she had evidence for those allegations,
Mm-hmm.
um and no such evidence has been produced at all. She went on national TV and said there's emails and messages. Well, where are they then?
Nothing was shown and there was no evidence of any of that, but the report was written. It's almost like Queen Camilla or the king was written about. They were very protective of her. So I don't think it would be a speculation to say whoever is trying to sabotage the prince,
Mhm.
whoever is working to do this is within the institution. I
Yeah.
think I hope that Prince Harry understand that he's underestimating what they want to do with them. They are very powerful people who
Mm.
are protecting that institution. That institution exists because it's not because of the will of the people. People are gullible
Mm.
sometimes. Few things make them happy, and the few, I don't know. Because if the truth was told about it, I don't think anybody would support it. But it's a
Indeed.
whole level of protection, and I think
Mm.
he has to understand that now and try to protect what he has left. They investigate them. He said he doesn't want it to be forever because he doesn't want to have his intention is to have no more soldiers like who need it. That's the intention. Is not to go forever. But I
Mm.
think the repetition about Prince William is so jealous of Invictus game makes me
Yeah.
kind of little nervous because he's now the beast. The king is in charge,
Yeah.
but I think the beast in that institution is that man, and his only
Yeah.
only thing he wants to do when he became a king, not to. end homelessness or to nothing else. He just wanna take down
Destroy
Harry,
Harry. Yeah.
and he wanna take down his bride, and he wanna take away titles for the children. I'm not. I don't think it's behind me to send the MIT. No, not MIT. I'm sorry. The intelligence of the UK. What is it called? I think,
MI5,
yes.
MI5, MI6.
I think his jealousy is just behind him, and I hope that Prince Harry really that charity for me. That's how I was introduced to Prince Harry. I grew up in Africa. I don't think King or Prince was a big deal there, but the charity, it was a small article that was reading about it, and that's how I was introduced to him. And that was the chair that charity is the one that I was more actually connected, because that's the only one I even donated money to. So it's a little, and it's a little disappointing that a woman from that area can come and
Yeah.
do this. And because she understands the area, she knows how to navigate and get what she wants from. That's why I'm so afraid of it too, because she knows what she's doing. She cannot.
Indeed.
She has help, but she knows what she's doing. I would not take her as a stupid woman. Our president
Yeah.
right now, people think he's stupid. He won twice. I don't think we can just say, "Oh, this is a stupid person." They know to get what they want.
Yeah.
That's not a stupid person. And I'm just hoping that children are protected. I hope that people in security areas, like the police or and somewhere, somebody can
Yeah.
just look up those children, because
Do something. Yeah.
they might become a lab rats, and
Yeah.
that would
Yeah.
be all.
Do you know what? At the very least, it's good to know that there are actually journalists like on the ground and that are, watching, sniffing around, seeing what's going on. Because I did wonder, like, have any journalists actually tried to, no, from the UK or the US actually tried to get on the ground? So
Mhm.
people are watching this story. But thank you so much, Fatimata. I'm just gonna let
Okay.
Lightside come on, and then we will have like a panel discussion. Hey, Lightside, how's your chicken going? Oh no, wait, no, sorry, wait, no, your chicken went wrong. How's your tofu going? Lightside, are you there? Lightside?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, my computer was muted. Okay, yeah. Yeah, the chicken is a sore topic, but the tofu, it was palatable.
Okay, so you got something to eat, thank goodness.
Yes, I just scoured down some food when you started the live. So I'm just gonna make a couple of comments. I can't remember what Karen said, but I know she has some really good stuff, and uh she kind of lined them up, and I was listening to everyone. But to start with the last person who spoke, Fatimata, she made some very good points. One of the first things I'm going to say, though, when it comes to people placed in positions of power, whether they are presidents or CEOs of organization, in this day and time, it has a lot less to do with them being smart and more about the powerful people behind them.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have people in those positions, it's not so much that they're intelligent, is that the people around them can move things for them, and that's what makes them powerful. That's what makes them able to do the things that they're able to do, because without them they wouldn't be able to do it. You have to have like the commander and everybody falling in line, doing everything to make sure that that person does whatever he wants to do and it accomplishes the things that he wants to do. But
The
those
end game,
things,
yeah.
the end game, right? But those things are a list of demands from multiple people that we don't see, and that's what we have to worry about: the people that we can't see calling the shots. So, to that point, she made some really good points about Invictus and also about Sophie. And in regards to Invictus, I think a couple of us have said this when you've talked about this topic, that I don't know if this is happening or this is a conversation that's happening with Harry and Meghan or the people that are supporting them, keeping them safe. But there needs to be an order of operations happening. They need to have people that are overseers or watchers paying attention and screening heavily people coming in that could potentially cause havoc in Invictus. Because what I see potentially happening right now is that they pretty much maimed this charity. They snatched it from Harry and Prince Sisu. For now. I don't want to think it's the end for them, but it's unfortunately a horrible situation for Harry to go through, considering how he built it, but it was successful. So be careful about Invictus. And in regards to this situation with the charity, in what YM Droid said and Fatimata, in this situation, I think that it has less to do, like, so she's right. YM Droid is absolutely correct. This is the worst like approach for a hostile takeover that anyone has ever seen. It was unsuccessful. But what she was successful at doing is disrupting an organization and their purpose and the representation and the face behind it, the legacy behind it, right? Because this thing that was carried and guided by Harry and Prince Sisu from their vision, from its etymology, like, has now been like literally taken over. And so that has been successful. So if whoever is behind this ultimately, if the cash money end game was to just cause a disruption, she was successful at doing that, because that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Right? So that's what I think. And I think, Fatimata basically mentioned that, but I'm gonna just, while you guys were talking, I was like pulling up and doing a little bit of research. First and foremost, Nandy Life Sciences was her old company, Sophie's old company.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys remember, like, when we initially was looking at the website, they had the faces of the individuals that worked
and that's
at that
now been
organization.
removed.
Exactly. That has been completely stripped from the website. They've cleansed it. There's still some details on the website, but it's been since updated, right? And the reason for that is that they apparently, quote unquote, stated that the organization has caught a lot of heat and the people behind it ever since the incident that has occurred with the charity, Sentebale. So it just so happens that it coincided with that outroar. But as of, like, I think recently, to actually say that is still up and running, the website is still there, but to say that it's a functioning organization that's actually doing anything, that's still unfounded. Now, the last thing I'm going to say is, you sound like you're in bed tucked in.
I'm horizontal. I'm horizontal.
Oh gosh. I know it's pretty late there. So this is something that I found recently also. So this is rumblings around the internet and conversations that are happening in regards to Sentebale, right? And why she may have done this, or what's behind this whole thing. So, okay. So Global Philanthropic is a fundraising consultancy organization where Ian Rawlinson had served. I don't know if you mentioned this before, you may have. He was both the director and the chair, and he received a certain sum of money from Sentebale during a certain time frame. I think it was approximately 21,000 pounds. Sarah Eason was
and
also
he's still apparently owed some money, right?
Yes. So he got money from that. Sarah Eason was another listen to the term consultant, who apparently had worked closely with Chanduka as well. Now, Sarah Eason and Sophie Chanduka are friends, and she worked on Nandy Life Sciences. We all know that organization is sketch and there's a huge question mark around it. She was paid approximately 41,000 pounds of Sentebale's money to, quote unquote, consult. Now,
Indeed.
Ian Rawlinson, we talked about him and how much money he made. And yes, you're right. He's owed approximately 66,000 pounds still. Don White and Chanduka are also associates, and they also previously worked together. They're friends, something connected to, like, Business Awards, which was founded or co-founded by Sophie back in 2014. She was also in debt at that organization. Okay, so there was debt there again. There's a trend here, consulting and owing debt.
Yes.
She also received approximately £26,000 during the period, okay, that Sophie was chair. Now, Dr. Tinashe Chanduka is Sophie's brother, who we know was
yes.
at Nandi Life Sciences. And he apparently was also employed by her for Sentebale for consulting services.
Jeez, yes.
And it's not exactly clear how much he may have received overall. So what we're seeing here is a trend of these people being listed as consultants. And for some reason, like, we can't really put a pin on what exactly they did. And in some cases, they were owed money still, or are still owed money. And what it kind of looks like is for most of the organizations that she's worked under, there are individuals or entities in those living organizations that seem to have been owed something. Something was not managed correctly. And ultimately, they didn't get the agreed contracted payout that was talked about or agreed upon. And now she has to go find money elsewhere to reconcile that. So she's jumping to the next thing to seemingly pay for a previous debt. That's the trend that I'm seeing. Right.
Yeah,
so
it's kind of like a Bernie Madoff situation, right?
It does kind of seem like that. Yeah. One could say that it could be like a Bernie Madoff situation, but in general, like it's sketchy activity. And I believe that when you're someone that has eyes on an organization that you really care about, and you're starting to see some kind of behavior and activities going on that you cannot reconcile, which again, there was a report that was requested. And when you get a report, you can actually look at it, or even have your consultants look at it and see if the numbers are adding up. And I think that's what Harry was intending to do. And then she blew this entire thing up and made it a bigger deal, talked about bullying accusations and everything else under the sun, because she couldn't produce that information. Because had she tried to produce that information, it may have been found out that she was doing something with that money.
She was funneling the money. Yeah.
Right. And the last thing I'm going to say to this is, you will see even on some of the British media sources that are printed, the headline is Harry was vindicated, or Harry was deemed completely guiltless in the accusations that were presented. What you do not see, the statement anywhere, is saying that Sophie was not culpable. So I just want people to think about that.
Yes, that is a very, very good point. Thank you for all of that light side. I just want to say thank you so much to Joan Garcia. You said, I had the same thought about Invictus. If they try it, all squaddies should contact all countries and advise them to boycott the Invictus Games. I saw a headline that they want Beckham to be the MC. Well, I'm sure they'll try to get their tentacles in there somewhere. But I'll just open up the floor. I'll just add everyone to the stage. Anybody wants to chime in?
Well, if they bring Beckham in there, you can already tell what deal he struck to get his knighthood, or or get the tap on the shoulders, or whatever it is that he's going for. So I certainly wouldn't surprise. I'm not looking to him for any moral fortitude there, but it's oh God, these people are so petty. For people who have such, I'm not even going to say soft power, because even though they aren't elected, they can't be voted out, and they're supposed to be figureheads. We all see what they've pulled, kind of, or that they have their fingers on the strings of the press and the tabloids, especially. This is so ridiculous. I think, like Fatima said, shouldn't William be trying to figure out how to end homelessness? Doesn't he have enough to work on to bring peace to the Middle East? Like, you're supposed to be a whole king in waiting, and your number one concern, your top concern, is how can I look better than Harry? And it's not by actually doing anything. Spoiler. It's just by seeing who you can, sneak in to infiltrate his successful ventures, to somehow make it seem like he's not really as good as everyone thinks he is, This is just so ridiculous. I mean, this is the best
Like,
case.
The-
yeah, one of the things I want to touch on a couple of things from um what
The
is it,
light side.
M Android, light side, and thing. At the beginning, M Android was mentioning something about the hostile takeover, you know, being ridiculous and lame and stuff like that. And even the people at the tabloid people, the reporters can't even you know figure out what to say about it. But Sophie wasn't counting on them. She wasn't counting on them. She was counting on people like us. Okay, that is why she was coming up with those. The reason why it's so messed up is the
Yeah,
lame
that's a very
excuses,
good point. She maybe thought would take her side because she's a black woman.
exactly, the lame excuses and accusations that she was coming up with Harry. Okay, and she was thinking that she would turn us, the people, and their supporters against them. Okay, this whole thing is to sabotage Prince Harry. Okay, it's to sabotage just the sexes. When that didn't work, the thing is that she did not expect Harry wants to bring that out public. Okay, because when the whole thing started with the polo thing, and he talked to her about you know um, putting out a statement with the Meghan situation. Okay, and she refused to do it. Okay, she figured, well, okay, he doesn't want this coming out in the public. Okay, and this whole situation, this is not something that just started with them trying to take over, his charities and all that stuff. It didn't just start it now. It started from the time they left. Okay, because this particular charity, okay, and with all his charities, he is trying to move them from the United Kingdom. Okay, this particular one, he was trying to restructure it from the United Kingdom because he knows that they're coming after it. Okay, Meghan knows that they're coming after it. This is one of the reasons, if you look at the whole picture, okay, the way Harry and Meghan works, they separate their stuff. All the charities and stuff that he does in the UK and he has from the UK. Okay,
it's separate from Archwell.
Meghan, they're separated from Archwell, and Meghan stepped back from that. She's there to support him, but she does not, okay, get too involved in them. She let him take the lead on them because they know that they're coming after them. This is why she had to separate her stuff from his stuff, plus separate Archwell from from whatever was going on in the UK. And this is why he was doing the restructuring. Okay, this particular Sentebale also, he was expanding on it. Okay, Nacho came on as an ambassador for this Sentebale. Okay, he was expanding this into the US. Okay, and also expanding it so that the kids them have more opportunities, more growth opportunities. Okay, because he has the school there. They basically built a community there. Okay, for these for these the youths and the children and stuff like that. Okay, yes, the HIV is not as intense as it used to be, but at the same time, the development of these children are still to be
still very much needed.
Still very much needed.
Absolutely.
Well,
so Karen, I just want to, I just thank you for that. I just want to let Rahini on because she's just come on, and then we'll come back to.
I saw her name.
Hi, Rahini. How are you feeling, Rahini? I feel like I haven't spoken to you since. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. How are you?
Yeah, I've been. It's been touch and go, but
yeah.
At this point, it seems as though Sophie might have a phrase we'd use in Trinidad. She might have bust on she average.
Right. What now?
I'm not from Trinidad.
She
but
busts on her
average
because this is the thing in her mind. Aligning the charity with this royal takeover would mean that they would put a lot of money her way. But that's not what's going to happen.
Mm.
It's not going to happen because charities associated with the royals are failing. And that's just a
Yeah.
reality. Did she not read that part of the memo? It's incredibly sad that she doesn't understand that it's failing. So if she thought that this was a massive payday for her, she bust and she average. You know, she's sorry, sweetie. We could have told you that they weren't going to do that because
Mm.
even Harry talked about it being like pulling teeth to get them money for Invictus. He does an interview with him
Yeah.
talking about that. So he knows how they are. To be honest,
It's
I
hard.
personally think, you know, allegedly, for all the lawyers out there, that most of the royal charities are fronts to just launder money. I
Money.
don't think
Yeah.
that
Mm-hmm.
they are legitimate.
Mm-hmm.
And if she thought that now the floodgates are going to open, that she's going to get all this money, right? Because she even alluded to that in the interview when she said with Harry stepping away, right? It forced donations to be low, which was a complete and utter fabrication, particularly because of the Sussex squad,
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
particularly because of us. The amount, if during the pandemic their numbers stayed high, like that is not true at all. The only time the finances of Sentebale began to be iffy was when she took over.
Yeah.
And that is proof. We could show it because they were putting it out there. And I believe right now that there's a watchdog, external watchdog that vets charities. Before that, Sentebale had a 100% rating on that watchdog. Now the rating
Wow.
is less than 20.
Wow.
It's really bad. And so for her to think that, oh no, the floodgates are open. So the only way this charity stays afloat is if it really was intended to be a funnel for money, a front. But if she thought this is how she's going to make her career and all of that, she bust and she average.
But
Mm.
Yeah.
but hey, Rohini, how you doing, dear? But Rohini, so like, there's a saying that they're like, congratulations, Sophie, you played yourself, right? Because what Sophie did was she literally got used as a pawn. She got used to destroy
Yeah.
this Carrie, and she is gonna continue remaining in that position that she's in until, as you said, the other folks either let it completely dissolve or they use it and they take that money and they redirect it somewhere else. And she's not gonna be able to touch anything. So like, what was it worth? You know?
I hello. I also think about. I think when Megan did the cookbook, I think
Yeah, hi. Sorry about that. I actually I'm at work and I work as a dispatcher, so I called him in.
So sorry. Do you just let Fatimata speak? Thank you.
Okay, sorry about that.
oh
No worries.
sorry, I was just saying because when Megan did the cookbook, I think if I'm not mistaken, there was some type of a they wanted some of the fund go to the Royal Foundation,
Royal Foundation. Yeah.
and then she said no, and that
Yep.
was a problem. And apparently, Prince William also wanted to be noted, like he gave some type of advice, and that was also rejected. So I I think I agree. She doesn't understand exactly what she walked into.
No, you know what? Now it makes sense. Okay, so I was thinking, all right, here's this supposedly super smart lady. Where would she even get such a harebrained scheme? And the minute you brought up royal charities, I'm like, duh. Okay, of course they fed her the
Yeah.
green book or something, the whole half cooked thing that only works because they're royals, because they're senior royals. They fed her the same thing, and she was too silly to see that that type of grift doesn't work unless you've got a crown and a title. And
And
Exactly.
They
And she's also a black woman. She forgot that. I think we are all aware of our skin color, and she
see,
forgot
yeah,
she's a black woman.
For Fatima, sir, in Trinidad, we have a name for that. It's called a house Negro. That's what they're called. They are called house Negroes,
Careful
right?
the censors. I don't want to get my
They,
video
they, that,
demonetized. Rahini,
that's
demonetization.
that's why I use the different N word and instead of the
Yeah,
other N word.
I
That's
know.
what
For
they
the
call,
demonetized, they're
you
very
know,
sensitive with these things.
Yeah.
Just be careful, please.
they believe that their proximity to this gives them cover, and they believe that, oh, they're one of the good ones, oh, you're one of the good ones, and they pat you on your head and they tell you a story. So she
Mhm.
believes that.
no, no.
Right now, there's also a little bit of that where she is also a grifter herself. So she's like, yeah, I'm going to tell them what they want to hear and they'll give me easy money. So they both of them seem to think that they're playing each other, but she doesn't realize that she's playing against an institution that has been skirting the line of criminality for 1,000 years.
But she's
They
also.
are
It's
better
interesting.
at it. They
It's
are better
interesting
at it.
that you say that, Rahini, because she's also been allegedly skirting the line of criminality for some time because she has
Yeah.
previous organizations that she's been part of that are in bankruptcy, and that hasn't even been looked up to yet. I feel like all of this is just going to play out for some time. You're probably going to end up with a lawsuit, and then
Mhm.
more of Sophie's history and backstory is probably going to
Mhm.
come out, because I think there are people out there that are just watching this all happened, but they have some things to say about Sophie as well.
Mhm.
I'm
I
What
so
I'm
sure there
curious
are
about,
people in her past
you
that will
know
have
what
maybe
I
some
am
things to say.
curious about is I don't know how the government of Botswana and Lesotho works. I don't know. But Prince is so being a prince. I think his
Yeah.
brother is a king, right?
Mhm.
So, have a conversation with bro. I'm just saying, because I think the government of Botswana need to look into this.
Mhm.
Mm.
Because I'm hearing that it might be something exploiting Botswana's
Mhm.
children. I would have an issue with that. And I think, I mean, it's one thing to say you're a charity, but even charities have to respect the law within the country that they're operating. And if they're exploitative, it is the onus is on the government of that country to step forward and say, this is a problem, you are making us look bad. Because let's be realistic, she is making them look really, really bad as
Mhm.
a nation. So I don't know if that might be the next move, but this is just incredibly sad. It's incredibly sad.
One of the major things I think we're missing here, okay, is that, and I keep going back to the sabotaging, and I keep going back to the bringing down of Prince Harry and the blackmail and all that stuff. Okay, this is a successful charity for 19 years. Next year it's going to be 20. Okay, Harry celebrated Invictus 10 years last year. This year, Well Child's 20 years is going to be celebrated this year. Next
Oh
year,
wow. Yeah.
Sentebale, 20 years were
Yeah.
supposed to be celebrated as successful charity from he was 19 years old. And one of the major things about this particular charity is that his mother's name lives
Attached
on.
to it. Yeah.
Okay. Now, for 20 years, a successful charity successfully did what it had to do for those children. Okay. And 20-year celebration. Can you imagine what would have been happening next year? Okay. Now, if you look at out of all of them, he is the only one that has a charity that is successful for so long. From he
Yeah.
was a teenager. Okay. Charles, all of a sudden, this whole thing came up. Okay. And all of a sudden, Charles is celebrating 50 years for whatever charity he had. What happened to the celebration for 10 years, 20 years, and 40 years? Okay.
Yeah.
So to me, this is something, okay, to cut Princess Diana's name out. Okay, because Charles is looking at Princess Diana, had her name, she's gone, her name still live on, and it's even bigger than ever. Okay, he is asking himself, what name is he gonna have after? Okay, so to sabotage all this here that's going on, that Harry had going on, okay, it's a benefit for them to do that. Yes, Sophie is a plant. Sophie is a drifter. She's a hustler or whatever it is. She's in it for herself.
Yeah, I think that's called game recognized game, because she didn't realize, or maybe her head is too big to realize that she's not like them, and that she can't pull off exactly the same grift. But when they approached her, and I'm my spidey senses are increasingly tingling and telling me that somebody on behalf of that household definitely approached her.
There's something big going on. There's something big going on. Something big going on.
Yeah, I think
agree with that.
I honestly think that someone from the royal household approached her, and like you said, because the whole scheme, and I know that has a different connotation in the UK. I'm using it in the US sense. The whole scheme of royal charities has been going on for who knows how long. And it's all a PR washing thing where, like you said, name a list of accomplishments of any of these royal charities. You can't. They get together. They get together. They have their balls, and probably that's where most of the funds actually go to. And you never see any results. Harry is the only one who had charities where you could actually point to something and have people stand up and say, oh yes, this organization actually helped me, or this organization contributed. And what really makes it sad is the current regime that we have in the US, which has stripped away a bunch of aid. I think Bill Gates probably put it, or I can't remember exactly who said that the world's richest man in Leon Starboy, I'm not going to say his name to avoid any categorization, but Leon Starboy, basically the richest man in the world, is deciding to basically end support for a bunch of the poorest kids in the world. And that's what they've done with stripping away funding for US aid. And normally when organizations like Sentebale would really be very important in filling that gap. The reason that HIV is not such a big thing now is because of actually some bipartisan efforts on the part of the US to provide medication, to provide support for, and prevention measures to make it so that it is a manageable condition and not a life sentence or a, like an end of days scenario in all cases. And so with that large governmental support being yanked out, I think it's really just really sad, because an organization like Sentebale, which like you said, for the past 20 years has successfully been getting treatments to people, been getting medications to them, been helping to make it so that it's no longer, I want to say exactly the death sentence that it once was. Now, like you have this woman who I agree, as many jokes as I may make about her having her hair together, at least, it's really terrible. Especially if you have seen that, like kind of in your surroundings, or, the impact that has had, and to really just, go and say, nope, I'm down for the grift. It doesn't matter who it hurts, is really, I don't know if she lost her shame a while ago, but I just hope that she finds it at some point. But she is certainly, in my mind, no more than a front or a puppet who is doing the bidding of, again, some very jealous, very petty people who don't have any charitable successes of their own to show. I think the only thing that Charles might be able to point to is the Princess Trust.
The Princess Trust, yeah,
which at least, and granted, that was more for the arts, and then they got an actress in the family, and where did that support go?
Yeah.
But like at least he can kind of point to that. But in terms of real life impact, I think that's the thing that they are all too dense to understand, is that the reason
Yeah.
people have such a fond place for Harry isn't just because he's Diana's son, and certainly the things that he's doing in her name, I mean, for sure continue it, but it's also because, again, I think if you look at any of them, including Anne, who will go to the opening of an envelope, you know, and count it as work. But out of all of the royals, the working royals, he is the only one who has had like any measurable, demonstrable success with his charitable endeavors.
Yes,
Where
indeed.
yes, there might be the fancy polo tournaments and the events, but you can actually see results happening, and
The
it's
work is impactful.
yes, it's just diabolical to me. Again, that level of petty will come in, where the only thing they can see is how do we make him look bad? How do we pull the rug out from under him? How do we hurt him without any care or any thought to the situation and what his charities actually do, which is so much more than any of their patronages ever do.
Indeed. Thank you so much, Wandro. Thank you, everyone, for joining in the discussion today. Like, you have all been amazing. It's definitely. I feel like I don't do this as often as I should, and now I've been remembered. Now I've been reminded why I should. Thank you so much to Val for the super sticker. Thank you to Legs for the super sticker as well. Suzy Q, you raised an interesting point. You said, I don't appreciate that Prince Ciso is so damn quiet. Well, to be honest, we don't know why he's quiet. And I wouldn't want to, throw any judgment right now. Um, listen, Harry and their team and their lawyers and everybody else, they probably know the ins and outs of everything at this point. They know so much more than what we do. And if our theories are correct, I think that they're handling this in the smartest way. I also think somebody else made a point, why haven't the authorities stepped in? I think if it comes to, the children being in any type of danger, I think they will. But I think there's something to be said about giving the fool a rope to hang themselves. And, a lot of what Sophie and her minions have done already is going to come to bite them back later down the line, especially if this goes into any type of lawsuit. I mean, that Sky interview that she did in itself is very, very incriminating. But I just want to give Lightside the floor to just, wrap things up. Thank you again to everyone. Appreciate you so much. And like I keep saying, this is awful, but I think the ending, whenever we get to the end, and I do think this is going to drag on for a while, the ending is going to be amazing. The ending is going to be, it's going to be God's plan. Like, we just can't see it right now because we're in the trenches, and this horrible person has come and just done this absolutely evil scheme. But I just know that by the end of this, like, it's going to be a phoenix rising from the ashes. But Lightside, did you want to just give some last few words?
Yes, thank you. So just a few points. First, Sophie isn't as smart as she thinks. That's all I'm gonna say. She isn't. I think that point's been made very clear. To add to Karen's point about Harry and his charity, he has in fact has managed and has stood as the face of a few other charities, right? For decades, you would say, because he's now, I would say, in his 40s or barely in his 40s. So he has quite a few under his belt. And he's been the front person, and he has managed them successfully throughout that time. And there's never been an issue. And to know that the charity commissioners board actually looked at some of the information and concluded that there wasn't an underlying issue with the concerns that were brought to them is really alarming. And to the commenter who asked about Prince Sisu, I 100% understand why people are wondering what's going on with them. But sometimes when we don't hear or see stuff happening, it doesn't necessarily mean it's not happening.
No,
And I would
yeah.
like to think, I would like to think that they're organizing themselves very strategically behind the
Yes.
scenes, and they're having conversations and aligning everything together. And as you said, and giving them rope so they can hang themselves. Because when you allow people to show their true form and how they would normally respond, and you allow the co-conspirators to also do their thing, then you have more to work with. So we just need to hang tight for a bit and see what comes of this, because what it sounded like when this first article was released was that the folks on Harry's side actually believe there's a there. We just don't know what it is yet. The last thing I'm going to say, and I want to leave this with everyone who has been a supporter of Harry and Meghan and Princess Diana. King Charles will never, ever, ever erase Princess Diana's memory or what she stood for or her legacy. It will never happen. If you think of history and the people who have done things that have still impacted your individual lives today, right? Even when they don't talk about them in the history books, you hear by word through your family members or through your friends, or you see them pop up in movies. They don't necessarily have monuments standing and saying this is who this person is, but you remember them because they're that impactful. That's what we're seeing here. So that's never going to happen. Charles can do whatever he wants to try to wipe Princess Diana's name from history, and she will never be forgotten. She will always be remembered as someone who has done so much, and in her true self could be seen through the lens across the world. And that's what people know her as globally. So I will say that in regards to Princess Diana. And in the same way, Charles cannot erase the legacy of Princess Diana, William is not ever going to erase the legacy of Harry and Meghan.
Yeah.
And that's how
Indeed.
I'm going out.
Yeah. 100%. Thank you so much for that, light side. Thank you, everyone. I'm not going to play the music out because I just need to go to sleep. Right? I'm already vertical as it is, so I just need to log out and go straight to sleep. No dancing our way out today, but I am so grateful for you as always. We will see a brighter day, and there are still so many amazing things happening with Harry and Meghan to look forward to. All right, enjoy the rest of your Sunday, folks. See you tomorrow. Ciao.